There is something important that I wanted to kind of share. I wanted to ask you, have you ever felt like somebody was holding you down physically or trapped in a car or you know, an elevator or something that you want to get out of? You ever had that feeling of being stuck? You can't move? Even if you haven't, I hope you relate. Okay, let's just, these are more rhetorical questions, okay? The feeling, if you sit here with me, that feeling of being held and you can't move physically, yeah. Well, that's exactly what the thoughts do to us. They're holding you down and they make you act foolish. So there's this witness, this watcher, this sense of me, and it gets held by thoughts. And that way, it's the conditioned self, conditioned by thoughts. Now remember, the word thoughts encompasses a spectrum from very subtle to very coarse acts of consciousness. So, for example, when you're having a dream and there's an experience in the dream, let's say, and you find an apple tree and you have some thoughts in your dream about this apple tree and you even take a bite. Well, all that, without you even knowing, is illusory and it's holding you into an alternative reality. The thoughts that you're having there about this apple tree are contained within the broader scope of your mind. But you're being held there in this experience. But when we recognize awareness or become aware of awareness, however you want to call that, recognize the nature of mind, then all of a sudden you kind of notice this larger mind that's here as you're kind of eating this apple. So you're still eating the apple, but now there's something that permeates this experience. Sometimes they call unknowingness, cognizance, empty cognizance, your Sambhogakaya mind, your subtle mind. Many names for that. So many of you in the Mo Sangha, including YouTube, are having recognitions. But again, you're in this liminal state where it's an in between phase. And you still have conditioning and clouds of distortions. So if you can, pull that little bit of presence, that awareness that you do have, and remember, you're just now familiarizing, let it be. That little bit that you do see, let it be. And it will become more prevalent. But when we're being held by thoughts, like we're stuck in the elevator of thoughts, and what else is happening there? It's a confinement, it's a barrier. You're breaking yourself off from the rest of the world. Even in the same building as you, you're separated from all those people. So we have these various thought aggregates that tend to separate us. And many well paid psychologists of various propaganda machines, they take advantage of that. I'll continue to pronounce that fact because it's a great cosmic crime, in my opinion, to hack somebody's mind. You're basically uploading a virus to their mind. Dzogchen's so beautiful because it doesn't require any beliefs. Dzogchen asks you to lighten up, stop hating. And now we're talking about true compassion that permeates all beings. It doesn't say, "Oh, I'll be friends with you if you agree with me. And I'm not friends with you because we disagree on some superficial thought constructs." Uh, to me, that's pretty petty, perhaps even too petty for Dzogchen, but that's not my call. So, if we let the mind lighten up from our little grudges and barriers and holdings, then we can be free. Anything else is like one of these MMA fighters who gets in a ring until they cannot hear anymore because the cauliflower ears, they cannot see anymore because their eyes are swollen shut, their brain is no longer working. Uh, if you want to get in the ring and shadow box with your own mind, well, I can't stop you, but for those of you who want to get out of the ring, who want to tap out, we can use this awareness practice. Because anything else is going to war with your own mind. You're engaging in battles with your own mind. So I don't even have much to say about the truth. I feel like it's out there. So many people that are part of the Sangha, part of this virtual meditation center or this group of friends, however you want to call it. So many of you are benefiting that I don't know really what else to say. Just kind of encouraging those who may be stuck in the middle or on the fence about trusting the Dzogchen approach and various elements of praxis. So maybe I'm presenting a reason to trust. Okay, so are there any comments, questions, sharing going on today?
I wanted to ask about the Kunang practice that I sometimes do before doing the uh, sitting meditation, the gazing and staying in awareness. Um, I want to ask two things about it. One, it has been like helping, like get in the kind of zone of it. I use that, or if it's a bit too long, I use a shorter version of some other. But in general, doing some like preliminaries before jumping in has made it go swifter. But I want to ask, should I be working to kind of slowly decrease that, or is it okay to have a prerequisite like every time? Or should I uh, work to just jump in?
Hmm. If it's natural for you to do preliminary practice or some mantras and things like that, then it's just fine, you know. Mantras become just like drinking some water. It's just another thing within your awareness, but your intention is very strong within awareness. I'd say that. So if you have a kind of a mantra like Om Mani Padme Hum and you say it for all sentient beings, I think within awareness, with that heart intention already in place, then that mantra can really be a benefit there. So I'd say anything you want to incorporate into awareness practice is just fine. Are you talking about the long Kuntazampo Molam?
Um, I'm not sure how long it is. I mean, it's a few pages, yes. Like,
Oh,
I think it's a long
the
one.
one with the five wisdoms and everything?
Yes, yes. I often just do like the uh, short guru yoga of chakra samvara when I don't have the time, but I like the other one a lot because it relates to Dzogchen more so. Uh,
Hmm.
oh, um, the thing with the awareness practice that I most struggle with is the part of beginning the meditation, because at the beginning, uh, it's a bit hard to differentiate it, but when I do, it kind of comes naturally and it keeps on going. But I sometimes do a little like that kind of practice to fasten it up. Um, yeah.
If you're doing it to fasten it up, then maybe it's not so good.
Oh,
It should already be here in your mantras, in your sadhana.
oh yeah, yeah. In the sense that when I kind of do like mantra or preliminary practice, then I automatically kind of like get within awareness. So
Oh,
when I just kind
yes.
of yes, yes, when I'm kind of just start sitting randomly after like coming home or something, it becomes a bit more confusing on what I am doing at the moment.
Hmm. Well, I'd encourage you to be with the confusion as well, you know, or whatever anxiety, whatever. Uh, the more naked you can be with your mind, without any kind of alteration, the better.
Mhm. Okay, yes, okay. Um, by the way, really weird thing about that, I can't find where that aspiration prayers from the Kuntazampo one. It says the name of the tantra, but there is no information about it otherwise anywhere that I could find at all. So that's
You
kind of
mean
confusing.
the source of that one?
Yes,
Oh,
is
yeah, the
not Shakti.
original source must be quite old. I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but I'm pretty sure I have it here with the sources. Remember that um, with this, with the five wisdoms and the eight consciousnesses, this is all standard Dzogchen anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Yes, yes, of course. Thanks.
yeah, it's
Yes.
very good.
Mhm.
So Meadow also wanting to share something there.
Yeah, thanks. Um, Yeah, it's to do with I hear you say Dzogchen's Dzogchen doesn't make you believe anything. How did Dawei just drop out? I know you're
No.
there. My screen just changed.
Yes.
Yeah, Dzogchen doesn't make you believe anything, and um, I'm just thinking about beliefs because I think there's a pretty strong habitual belief in my mind that says this isn't uh, what does it say? It's like this isn't the natural state. There's a stronger habit towards this is not the natural state than, oh, I just recognize something, or oh, this is the natural state. And so it's like sometimes for me it's a matter of interpretation, which is sort of to do with belief. And there's like a helpful belief that I'm trying to bring in recently, which is more like, ah, yeah, everything is held in awareness.
Mhm. Well, I
More of a
wouldn't
sort
call that a
of belief.
belief. But that's not a belief. That's an observation.
I mean, sometimes it's not an observation,
Yes, I know,
you
but
know?
yes, but we have to make that distinction because beliefs are made from constructs, and beliefs a lot of times don't have any kind of well, I suppose they can have obs observance as a prerequisite, right? You can say, I believe all awareness houses everything because I saw it.
Yeah.
So I suppose that one's a little bit more innocent, but I would let that one go too.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm working with. Yeah. It's like remembering something that I've seen before. Sometimes it's necessary, but yeah, I haven't tried to let that go too.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I understand, necessary beliefs, but uh, they will be here. Any information that we need, there's no need to deliberately hold on to some beliefs or ideas or form more beliefs about the beliefs because uh, the mind being quite fresh without any kind of inferences, like any imputations, awareness holds everything can actually, in Dzogchen, that's a known cognitive obscuration. It's fine for you or anyone in the beginning to use that,
Mm.
and we can move into pure abiding with that. Eventually, just like the raft simile of Buddha Shakyamuni, we abandon all these beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's this stage where there's still doubt. It's like the second of Garabdoje's statements. This still doubting a bit, still trying to familiarize. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well, thank you for opening up. That's a wonderful share. Very raw kind of mind science that we get there from that one. Um, and the more you can lean into it and trust, and you're right, there are various kind of beliefs that can usher us into that. For example, uh, we believe that this practice works because so many others have ventured into this territory.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things that can expel the doubt a little bit. And I think those are okay. Yeah. Good question. A good inquiry there because others, they may also be dealing with that.
Yeah.
So
Thank
step
you.
on beliefs. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was saying thank you.
Oh, yeah. And so
Yeah.
step on beliefs, but don't let them mold your reality.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Thanks.
very good. Is that one really is a good one because at the end, the cognitive obscurations, these cognitive imputations, they tend to have a huge influence on our reality, yet we don't even know it because they can be very subtle and lucid and also seeds within the lucid mind. So, this beginning to notice which parts of our ideas and our thinking are useful and which parts are kind of bringing us down or disempowering us. It's a good discernment, I would say, in the first few stages where after you recognize and you're familiarizing with the nature of mind, then I would encourage you to peer review that to the fullest. Actually, you know, be sure you have recognized the nature of mind. Be sure that patterns are able to liberate within the nature of your mind, and ask, can you trust it? That's probably one of the most important questions. Can we trust awareness? Is it permeating this witness, this watcher? Is it permeating all of our emotional cycles? These are things that honest questions that we can petition to awareness. Okay, so I think somebody, Victoria was also sharing here. Thank you so much, Meadow Sweet. And then, okay, Victoria, do you want to unmic or you want me to read this one? It's up to you. Okay, I'll read it. This is a sharing from Victoria. Struggling today. Ah, that's why I'm going to read it. Don't worry, I got you. So, I'm having one of those days where I wake up with almost too much unconditional love and joy in my heart. Oh, it's too much because I keep getting tears streaming down my face. It's hard to abide in awareness during these moments because I naturally imagine rainbow and gold energy around me and feeling all of existence inside me. It's hard to focus and harness my energy, and I'm starting to doubt if I'm made for Dzogchen, even though I would like to practice it. Yeah, well, those doubts are very, very normal, and they will make or break a lot of practitioners. Am I even ready for Dzogchen? And it's an honest question that we have to ask ourselves, I suppose. Mm, But there's different layers of connectivity. This is something that I'm coming to see. Some people just like to connect on a superficial level, just they don't really do the practice, and that's their way. Then other people use it to complement mindfulness or therapy, and they mingle it. Then there are the people that are kind of the Puritans who are willing to practice pure Dzogchen. And so, mm, yes, we have to sometimes contextualize ourselves, but this to me sounds like a common uh, thing that happens. In fact, it's happened a couple times just this week or in the past week. It says here, I'm struggling to stay in awareness. You see, that reminds me of the I can't get rid of my thoughts. And remember, Dzogchen isn't asking you to try to stay in awareness. It's not even asking you to get rid of your thoughts or to change anything. It's asking you to look and see, is awareness there? And if you've seen it, you probably know you've seen it. But if you cannot, uh, if you have no idea what we're talking about when we're talking about this awareness nature, then that's a different story. Okay. But Victoria, you see this awareness nature, but the energy of your mind is catching you. So you're going into the energy of your mind, and the awareness is not so prominent. It's not so strong in your experiences right now, since you're still in the beginning. It gets stronger. I don't know. Maybe others can testify to that who have been with the practice a little bit longer. But I feel like we all go through this kind of thing, and as far as loving and opening your heart like that, right on, let that be. I don't see a problem here. It says, I don't see what the struggle is, honestly, Victoria, because it says you have all this unconditional love and joy in your heart. That's a good thing. You're getting tears. I would unmute your camera and let those tears be shown to the world. You don't need to hide those. There's nothing wrong with having tears. That's a very healthy thing that happens. I've cried in front of the group many times. I've been here 11 years, okay? I've cried many times over the past 11 years on camera. And a great friend, this girl, she taught me, because she used to talk to me about meditation and she'd be crying and she wouldn't wipe her tears. They'd just be like soaking her face. And I went to hand her a tissue and she's like, no, no, no. And I was like, wow, she's just being with it. And I had to admire that. And ever since then, I was like, all right, I'm not wiping my tears no more because I noticed that we go like this immediately. Oh, no, no, no. The tears are so beautiful. It's this water coming out of you, and it's like an emotion in the form of a drop, and they're wonderful. That's part of this patriarchy that we live in. They've hardened up people, to where people think they can't cry anymore and still be strong. Yes, warriors cry. So, uh, I don't know. Maybe I'm making too big of a deal out of that. There's no deal, but I'm just saying. So, rainbow gold energy also all existence inside of you. Also, all that sounds good. Uh, I don't think you should try to focus or harness your energy. Just let it be. Those are the Dzogchen advices. Yeah. Yeah. So really, we got a predicament here, Victoria, because everything you said was good, except for the part where you're trying to harness it and focus it and control it. That's the only part that's bad, and that's not Dzogchen. Dzogchen is be with your rainbow pot of gold of all inclusive loving energy of tears. Because that sounds like a pretty good trip. I used to get in trouble or made fun of for crying. Ah, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I understand. And, I was just being a little lighthearted about turning your camera on. Um, Basically, what I'm saying is here in the group, it is okay. It is okay to struggle. It is okay to cry. Uh, and if you can even open up like you're doing now, way to go for that. You're helping us all because we experience this stuff, you know. Yeah. So I would just notice that trying to control it, okay? If you can, Victoria. No, notice the need to try to change it. Be with it. Be with your beautiful rainbow energy. Just let it be. And if it gets too uncontrollable to where you can't even sit still, then maybe take a walk and be with it, or do some yoga and be with it. Things like that. Is that making sense? All right. Hang in there. As long as you keep coming here, I'm not going to let you give up on Dzogchen. Really, that's all you have to do is keep showing up, even through the little tests, the trials and the tribulations, okay? Just keep showing up and you'll be all right. Okay, well, I think we can close the session here. Are there any final thoughts before we end today? Yeah, blessings, blessings. So beautiful. Freedom is beautiful. Oh, very nice, very nice. Yes, real love, real love, not
I have a
toxic.
question. Um, I've been
Yes, please.
experiencing a lot of. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
London, yeah.
Oh, this isn't. Oh, okay. I've been experiencing a lot of visuals. Like the golden light that was brought up. When I sit, at times everything begins to be taken into this golden light, like a cloud. And then at other times outside, this is just during the sitting practice, but it's begun in the evenings now to where the other night I was brushing my teeth and being in that presence, suddenly I noticed that the reflection of the water on my hands that was catching the light began to be animated and things were moving around. And as I just sat very still, with what was there. There was an image of like a cartoon playing out that looked very much as what's seen on the side of like temples of all these different figures. So this has been something that's been kind of happening um, at different times, and just sitting with it where there's usually kind of this wanting to run away from it, much of like what was mentioned in the last sharing, and being in positions where like all these emotions are coming up and feeling like I can't, this shouldn't be something that's happening, or like being even told at times that, oh, you shouldn't be crying, you shouldn't be showing emotion, it needs to be constricted. And I could see those things from a past perspective of, okay, that's being with awareness is now allowing all these other things to unravel and come out, like doubts, and all the doubts coming, and realizations and dawning. So the recognition is always with it, but now this other, I don't know how to describe it, it's starting to happen. At times it's a lot also.
Yes, yeah, that's the Tokyo aspect. I think so. And the more we can let all four foundations of mindfulness just be, including the environment, and let them be within awareness. There's still action, there's still movement in life. Don't worry. By letting be, you're not going into zombie mode or anything. So, but if you can let this, I don't say this very often, and I've actually restricted the amount of usage of the, how much I talk about this, but there's an absolute light show around you. We construct that into a cartoon for survivability and mobility, but there's an absolute light show going on here. We tend to freeze it, we tend to make it look still. That's why the five wisdoms are known as the five lights. The five elements are known as the five lights, mind lights. And as you stabilize in awareness, reality can show itself more and more. It's not necessary. It's kind of an extra, I suppose. It's quite magical. It's truly amazing, and it can bring you into your freedom. But many yogis aren't concerned with if reality is looking like a light show or if it's looking like a cartoon. It's kind of irrelevant, right? So with that irrelevance comes revelation, actually. So you leave it irrelevant, like leave it alone the best you can, and then this phenomenon or the appearances start to show themselves. It starts to show, and I think so, like X-ray and multi-dimensional vision. That's the thing why everybody thinks there's so many aliens out there because of all the universes out there. I think the aliens are within dimensions. We just approach this reality very linear. So we think the aliens are out there in a directional sense based on time. But the aliens, if there are sentient beings, they're really within other dimensions. And you need your mind to access those dimensions. And the last thing I'll say, I will say that your mind becomes multidimensional because you're allowing those dimensions to reveal. Like the fourth dimension is transparency. And for sure that happens if you allow it. We're pretty much in a two dimension. According to modern science, your eyes can only see two dimensional, and the brain fills in the rest. And we also think and speak in two dimensional, in two dimensions when you really look at it. But I also want to say this: look how when we grow up, we always grow up on cartoons, very simple lines and colors. Well, this is the same. This reality, underneath its complexity, has a cartoon, and underneath that cartoon are the basic lights of the reality. And so, some people, some Togyal practitioners and natives do too, Native Americans, they look at the sky and see images in the clouds. And through awareness practice, you can see how your mind is creating reality by the subtle creations that it does in the clouds. The clouds is a good one because it's very easy for your mind to um, play without restriction. So as you look at the clouds and you begin to see things in the clouds or anywhere else, um, You get to tune in to your mind's creative power there and the co-emergence going on. But this is very, I would say, very far into the practice when appearances begin to liberate. Please don't spend time on that. It starts to happen naturally the more you trust, because your mind is directly connected to appearances. So as your mind liberates, appearances liberate. But you cannot treat them as an external thing. Then there's no liberation, then there's freezing going on. Then you're solidifying it. All right, everybody. That got very interesting. That was like the grand finale. Yeah, Ozak, go ahead.
Um, one things like visions, I want to give a sharing on that as well. Um, I think that it is completely best if left the same way as you kind of like see something unexpected that is not mystical in normal fashion as well. Like a few years ago, I kind of used to get these visions a lot more, but I used to create kind of like cultish ideas based on them. One time, I kind of had moving objects based on them, and I kind of like drew these in various forms and wrote extremely esoteric writings on this, like a binary state still exists. The practitioner of harmony wishes to make a harmonious non-dual point state X to not X within the spectrum of the binary state existence, state X as non-existence, state not X. Stuff like this. Like it goes on very, very, very long.
That was
And
very contradictory, though. How can there be harmony in a binary state?
oh, well, I was showing this as like a kind of weird respection of non-duality. It is the binary state is like something versus not the thing, and I don't know that, and I don't not know that, and kind of the middle of that as
Okay, so what's the point of what
as-
you're sharing right now? What's the point?
yeah, that's the
I
point.
like it. I like it. I think you should. That sounds like a song or like a audio painting of some sort that you just did there.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of audio paintings? I don't know. It's probably a thing.
Yeah, visual audio stuff like that. And yes, but if you kind of go too deep into this type of stuff, it kind of just uh, in my opinion, makes you go within it other than seeing it within the basic space. And after a while, I kind of created like a bit of a religious view of this type of like a vision or visual uh, concepts with this kind of like more esoteric type of writing. So when I kind of get it sometimes rarely nowadays, like when I sometimes look at the sky, I kind of see this framework of little dots and they are moving everywhere. I kind of just act as if I kind of saw something unusual on my walk home or something like that. Not to like create a new reality based on that, but based on the usual realizations, not like mystical ones, as that those can be kind of confusing sometimes, in my opinion.
Okay, so I have no idea what you just said.
Oh, did I speak too fast?
Does anybody? Does anybody know what Ozo just said? I'm a little. It's the morning time for me. Maybe it's me. If nobody, Ozo, if nobody knows what you just said, then you got to work on presenting things more pithy.
Oh yes.
Other,
Oh,
no idea. No idea. Ozo, come on.
it's
We
really
want
cool.
to hear. We want to hear you. We want to listen to you. But you're like taking a data dump into our brains. It's
Yeah, I kind of have this like a weird graph of writings in my head. I kind of try to word it kind of randomly, I guess, and
I
it.
know, and I know you're onto something. That's the kicker. Like I'm like, dang, I know it's something, but I don't know what the heck he's talking about again. Long as you're not too attached to these things, I suppose, they're very amazing creative expressions that you have going on here. Um, but I have a boundary. I don't let my mind enter into a certain level of thinking. It's basically a subdivision of thinking. I keep my thinking on the surface, and so I think that's why as soon as you go from the surface and you start going into these other levels, um, um, then the surface is it's almost like talking to a dog. You can only speak a certain surface level to a dog. Um, Now that's not to say that I'm kind of reductive or overly simplistic. It's just that if I don't keep it like that, then the complexity can confuse the simplicity. So I always approach it almost like mathematics, to where can you simplify this down to the simplest form, right?
Yes, yes.
We
Sorry.
take these equations and we bring them. We take these long equations and we bring them down.
Yeah, I kind of sometimes just lose the continuum. I mean, I don't lose the continuum on my.
Lose the continuum. No, no, no! Don't have a continuum. There was a continuum there, and I went on to another continuum. Very good. No, you have everything's beautiful though, so don't worry. I'm just letting you know that if you want me to comprehend, you might need to present it a
Of
little bit
course.
different.
Yes, yes. But in like the very short form, I kind of just mean within like visual, mystical, or realizations in general. I don't find that kind of recreating your framework to be based on that as useful. I think they should be viewed as like the same way as if you see something unusual on your walk home or something like that.
Hmm, okay. Well, that's deity practice. That's tantra. Tantra's a little bit outside of Dzogchen, right? So we can contextualize that as tantra. And the simplest purpose of tantra visualizations, that Kirim and Zokrim, is to basically, because many beings, they don't visualize anything positive. They don't visualize anything good, and they don't even think anything good for themselves. Like, I deserve to be happy. I deserve to have a stable mind, a free mind, any of that. We don't really think I deserve to have a clean house and a bigger yard and more friends and you know whatever. We we usually don't imagine that kind of thing. And so what tantra does is it has you imagining these pure realms to meet your negative bias, to counter your negative bias and get you thinking more pure, get you thinking more into that all good. So that's the purpose of tantra, and it works really well. It's just not for our time, in my opinion. I think if we're living in a different time, uh, when visualization practices were thriving throughout thousands of years, we never had cell phones, we never had screens of any kind, unless you want to consider plays and things like that is probably the closest we can get. But we for sure were not so attached to our screens, and that has taken away, for me, in my opinion, that has taken away our whole tantric visualization ability. We don't even have the bandwidth to do a full refuge tree visualization. Most people don't have the bandwidth. They can't even sit with their breath for 10 minutes. How can you visualize a whole refuge tree?
Hmm. Yes,
And then
I
when I made it in virtual reality, people didn't like that. So I don't know what to say about those people who are. I mean, that's what happens is people get stuck in a lull. They get stuck because they can't do the visualization practices all the way, and they can never really master them, so they get kind of stuck in tantra. But even visualizations, my visualization power should be strong enough to create a visualization that all of you can see. That's how it used to be, and I haven't seen that happen. So for me, visualizations aren't very useful, except a negation, maybe just watching what kind of visualizations are exposed to your mind. So if you see like this ridiculous stuff on Facebook, and I mean the little TikTok shorts that train your mind to be discursive. TikTok and Facebook, all these little short videos, they're training you to be distracted too, by the way. Not to get conspiratorial, but that's what's happening. You're habitualizing your mind towards distraction and speed. It's getting very speedy and very attached to, I mean, everything's all about looks now, and you get very attached to these things that you're seeing, and your visualization ability goes out the window with that. So that's my opinion. Visualizations just don't work. But if you can start to notice the freedom that you get from not being consumed in the screen, then you know that that freedom is very nice. I think so, and useful.
Yes, I agree that visualizations are kind of um, the hardest practice. It kind of, I sometimes present it, or pretty rarely to some people, the nine yenas as kind of going up, and then by the end, the hardness kind of drops completely. Because as you're kind of approaching Dzogchen, that's the hardest part, in my opinion, at the current stage. Because visualizations and stuff are super hard, and so is like the last few yanas in general, before, within the eight yanas, not the ninth.
Well, in Dzogchen, you can visualize the refuge tree like that. No trying, it's
Yeah.
there.
In the original thing that I was saying, I was speaking more of the spontaneous visual experiences that sometimes happen.
Yeah,
Things
on
like,
top. Yes.
yes, yes, yes. I think it's also important not to become like, not to see those as the foundational realities or something like that. I was kind of detailing my experience based on that, on how, like, for a few months when I saw kind of spontaneous stuff uh, randomly, I made the whole of my practice based on that, and I think that that can be very distracting. I think that they shouldn't be seen as
Mm,
the core thing, uh, you
yeah.
know.
Yep. Yeah. The pure realm is already here. That's kind of what I feel like Lundra Bryan was kind of going into that, but only he can really know. But it sounds like it from the decoding. And when I talk about this all being a light show, that's the pure realm exposing itself. We're in primordial purity right now.
Yes, yes, I feel completely like, if I see something mystical, then I shouldn't try to see it again because I saw it once, in my opinion. At least not anymore. I used to think that a lot.
If you can normalize magic.
Normalize the weird and weird the normal.
Yeah. But really, to me, that's all secondary to stabilizing the mind and um, ensuring the freedom of the mind. And as freedom of the mind reveals itself, all this magic stuff reveals itself, and your true kind of pilot, your true essence, in a way, the true nature of reality reveals itself. So everything ends up self-resolving. Okay, very
Yes.
good. So we will close out the session here. Thank you for all the sharing. Appreciate it. I have lots of snow to shovel. Holy crap. We got so much snow. And I went out last night and shoveled about 4 inches. And I looked out there and all my work has been covered up. So I'm going to shovel the roof, shovel the snow on the roof, and shovel the snow on the driveway and walkway. That's my day, the beginning of my morning. And hopefully you have a wonderful morning too. And what a great way to kind of start off. Yeah, I know it's different times of day and everything, but Victoria, you really are saturated in love today. Wow, I'm jealous. Now I have to sit with my jealousy. You guys are all so sweet. So amazing. All right, let's take a moment just of silence to dedicate the merit, wish all beings liberation. And deep bow to you, my amazing yogi friends. Please have a beautiful day.